Welcome to the Midlife Mavericks podcast, where we empower men in their prime to redefine what it means to thrive beyond 40. Join us as we navigate the complexities of midlife, offering insights, strategies, and inspiration to reclaim your health, vitality, and purpose. From personal stories of transformation to expert interviews and actionable tips, each episode is designed to support you on your journey to live the best life in your midlife and beyond. Get ready to unleash your inner maverick and embrace the adventure of aging with grace, strength, and purpose. In today's episode, we're diving into the world of wellness and entrepreneurship with the dynamic Andrew Cox. Andrew is a jack of all trades, having excelled in professional sports, business ownership, and podcasting. His entrepreneurial spirit and relentless drive have propelled him to succeed in every venture he undertakes. At the heart of Andrew's journey is his business, Joint Dynamics, an integrated wellness facility based in Hong Kong. And despite not being a systematic person by nature, Andrew relies on his strong work ethic and motivation to drive success in his endeavours. Beyond business, Andrew is a staunch advocate for investing in oneself and maintaining non-negotiable minimums for health and well-being. He shares his daily health and wellness practices, including his morning routine, nutrition choices, and training habits. Andrew also delves into the mental benefits of lifting heavy weights and the importance of mobility work for overall well-being. Andrew creates time to spend with his wife, kids, and good mates. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and let's get stuck in. Andrew, welcome to the Midlife Mavericks podcast.
Stretch, great to be here.
Mate, I'm excited to connect with you and hear all about the crazy list of things that you sent me in the email when we first connected. I was blown away by everything that you listed there, from professional sports to injuries to being a dad to owning a business to running a podcast. And I was just like, wow, how does this guy stay on top of everything? I'm like, this is the man I need to talk to.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe that question, how does this guy stay on top of it? If you ask me, I might finally work it out, to be honest. I was speaking offline. I use the word hustle. I think it's a positive word. There is the negative context. I mean, in the positive side, just hustling. And I think that just means embracing the entrepreneurial spirit, just seeing what you can achieve. You might as well have a bit of a go. So I figure that I might as well have a bit of a go in those things that you mentioned and maybe some other things. But as far as how do I do it all, I don't know. It's a lot of fun as well, though, Stretch. You know, I think it's a privilege to run your own business. And where I live in Hong Kong, okay, we've had our challenges, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a place that responds to that word again, the hustle. I think it responds to the hustle. I think people that gravitate towards Hong Kong come here with that entrepreneurial spirit, or maybe a bit of hustle in them. So for that, it's a great place. It's a really great place for that.
Yeah, I've been there once, mate. I did get there once and caught up with some friends over there, and I was actually blown away by just how friendly the city was and how clean the city was, and just I didn't know what to expect going there. Like, I was just going to meet a few people and catch up with friends, but I was very impressed. And like the whole time I was there, the friend that I was seeing, we just constantly caught up with different people in the health and fitness industry and just hung out and trained and did so many different things, and it was just such a welcoming place, I found.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I love it. I got to say, I'm Australian, mate. Like, I'm from the same country as you, and I think, well, we're called the lucky country. I think we're lucky to be Australian. But for the last 19 years, I've loved it here, and I still do love it here. Obviously, I'm not going anywhere. I've got a business here and a family, so I'm not going anywhere. But I do one day want to go back to Australia. But I've got to say, I'm pretty stoked, or even feel blessed to be in Hong Kong, like I am.
Yeah, awesome, mate. No, it's great to hear. I really want to connect with you and talk about, sort of like the time management and how you sort of stay on top of everything. But then I said, that's a pretty broad topic, and I want to really break it down and maybe speak to the audience, because, I want to sort of connect with a lot of men in their midlives. And I think, you're going through this journey, and maybe a lot of your clients are going through this journey, and they really struggle with, managing their time. But it's like managing their businesses and careers, managing their health. And, the big part is also family and friends and staying connected and all that sort of stuff. So just to sort of set a bit of a broad, look over what I want to chat with in terms of the podcast, I'd probably like to start with business. So if we were to sort of step in and talk to you about your career and your business, can you give us a bit of insight into, what you're doing over there in Hong Kong and how you've got it all sort of set up?
Yeah, of course. So, wow, the long short story. So essentially I'm a trailing spouse. My wife got offered a job here. We were living at Burleigh Heads. And I was living across the road from the beach stretch in a beautiful place on the Esplanade of Burleigh Heads. And my wife was coming to, at that stage, she was my fiance. She was coming to Hong Kong for business. She got offered a job here. She came back and said, hey, I've been offered a job in Hong Kong. It's a great place. Do you want to come? And my first thing was, babe, stick your head out the window and look over the road there because there's the beach. Are you sure? And she said, yeah, let's give it a go. And I said, yeah, okay, let's give it a go. That was in 2005. Turned up and didn't know what I was going to do, to be honest, Stretch. And along the way, I started as a swim coach. I was doing some work. Guess what, mate? I did some work as an English teacher. Surprise, surprise. And I didn't really enjoy that. I was working for other people and I didn't enjoy that and hadn't done much of that in the last years anyway. So I just, through maybe luck, I was teaching swimming for someone and they said, hey, I've got this family that want a swim coach. I went there and then all of a sudden that person who was a member of the Jewish community said, you know, we've got heaps of friends. All of a sudden I've got like a swim school. And then it got cold. A couple of the mums took me to the Jewish Community Centre here in Hong Kong, which is on Robinson Road, up in the hill up there, mid-levels. And they introduced me to the general manager and said, this is Andrew, he's our swim coach. Can you come in? And he said, yes, he's a great bloke. And obviously he's a businessman as well. So I was bringing clients money. And then also, you know, I'd played sport my whole life. I'd coached. And so I did a personal training certification. I'd never done any one-on-one really. Trained myself a lot and hung out with mates and trained. Anyway, I got my personal training certification and then started getting one-on-one clients, had the swim coaching, and then just got an opportunity to be an educator by a great bloke here in Hong Kong by the name of Kevin Rushton, who runs the Optimum Performance Studio, and he distributes equipment and education. So then just by dedicating myself to try to learn how to be a better educator and presenter, I found myself traveling Asia, mate. I went from everywhere from China to Saudi Arabia to the Philippines to Singapore to, you know, over the years, the ensuing years. And then I found myself presenting at conferences and then as a result of presenting at conferences, you meet people. Then I found myself presenting to the Chinese Olympic Committee, just via, you know, a crazy story. I was running a workshop and the guy who was second in charge, this guy, I think his name was Dr. Liu, his wife was in my course. Next thing I know, the next day he turns up. They invite me out for dinner. Their daughter was an aspiring professional tennis player. So I was loaded, mate. It was amazing. I was just, you know, I'm a bloke from Tamworth, Stretch. I was picturing myself going, what the hell? And then he invited me to speak at this Olympic Committee conference with Mark Verstegen and all these legends and this bloke from Tamworth. Anyway, and then I just kept learning. I had a voracious appetite to learn. I was always a curious bloke, you know what I mean? So that's why podcasting sits well with me. I'm not sure how good I am at it, Stretch, but I really like doing it. I'm sure it's the same as you. Every time I do a podcast, I feel like it's my university. I learn so much. And via just being curious, via growing up in a country town mostly, playing a lot of sport, developing, I believe I've got a pretty good work ethic, and maybe as evidence to that, I'm now part owner of a company of 70 staff. So there's 4 owners of Joint Dynamics. Myself, 2 other Australians. They're from Victoria, David and Charlene. And then our other business partner, Colin, he's English, but that's all right. He's a great bloke, he's a physio. And we've just essentially built a business over the past 10, 11 years it's an integrated wellness facility with physical therapy, massage therapy, osteopathy, psychology, personal training, strength and conditioning. We run workshops. We have our own education, have a podcast, you know, and we're always just hustling to find a way to get better and serve the Hong Kong community. We have 3 facilities, so I'm in one of them. Out my door there in my office, there's 5,800 square feet, which I know is weird for an Australian, but that's what they say now. I don't even know how many square meters that is anymore, Stretch, but it's a decent size. There's 11 treatment rooms here where the physios, osteos, psychology, and all those people inhabit. And then the gym's out there for all the trainers, strength and conditioning and all that sort of stuff. Got another one in Quarry Bay. And then upstairs on the 6th floor, this is the 5th floor, right? And mate, stretch out that window there is got to be one of the busiest cities, busiest streets in the world, I reckon, like Queens Road Central. It's bloody all. I sit here and watch the world go by. And upstairs, the 6th floor, we've got a women's health centre, which is about half the size of this. Everyone, you know what's great about my place? Stretch, I'll communicate it probably in a weird way, but you come, just say you're a client, you come to Joint Dynamics, we just give you a Joint Dynamics hug. And by that, I mean, we put you in the centre of Joint Dynamics, and if you need a physio to get you going, then we put you with a physio. If you don't need a physio, you're just like, mate, Andrew, I'm just here to learn to move better, then I'll put you with a movement coach. Got this guy, Ben Lincoln, who just understands movement and is curious how the body works, like someone I've never met in my life. And he's a gift to both to my life and Joint Dynamics. So, and then we've got strength and conditioning guys who dive into periodization, you know. So whatever, it's a client-centric model. And then to keep talking just for a bit, and then I'll shut up, Stretch.
Well, mate.
You know, when you run a business and you think, how am I going to be successful? What I've found along the way, you can have a niche. Like there's some really good body composition gyms here in Hong Kong. You know, the before and after photo. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of before and after photos in every context, but it's great marketing. And maybe it works on that guilt, fear, shame part of the human body, which is nothing wrong. If that mobilizes me to look after myself better, then that's fine. I look at that photo, that guy who wasn't in good shape, and now in the after photo, the lighting seems better, but he certainly looks a lot stronger and he's happy, and if only I could be happy. So maybe I need to commit to a 12-week program where I have 1,800 calories and, you know...
And hate life, mate. I don't know.
Yeah, and my wife's going to be upset with me because I'm tired all the time. Yeah. And then what happens, to be honest... sorry, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a niche. Where I was heading was my model is different in the gym. In those models, I'll tell a story. When I went to that conference and Mark Verstegen was there, I purposefully, like a groupie, it was at breakfast time, and I followed him around, right? and I once heard, because I did this mentorship with another organisation. Mark Verstegen spoke. I went to the US and he spoke. It was amazing. Anyway, so here I find myself presenting at the same conference as Mark Verstegen. So I had my food on my plate already, and then I saw him, and I thought, I'm going to just follow him and sit beside him. And so I just sort of, lingered around, and then he sat down, and I went and quickly came over and went, oh, mate, is anyone sitting there? Can I sit beside you? And he said, no, join in. So we had a great chat. But he's amazing, and he's so successful. He worked with the German national soccer team. He developed athletes' performance, which became Exos. 60% of the NFL combine go through his facilities in the US. Like, he's a dead set genius. And he's incredible with systems. And we had a great chat. And he said to me what he learned along the way was that he would employ really smart people, and really smart people want to work for him. And he had a system where he'd say to the trainers, the coaches, the strength and conditioning, all athletic development, do this first, do this second. Here's the rationale. He called it the red line. Follow the red line, and you can't go wrong. And what he found, what he shared with me on that day, was the team, who were highly educated and motivated to learn and contribute, didn't feel that they were getting enough job satisfaction because they weren't giving enough of themselves. They were just following what he called the red line. And then what he did, the genius that is, he backed off and said, okay, here's the red line. And he used 80-20 rule. So maybe that was, but 80% is follow the Exos way, and 20% is you. I actually am the opposite of that. I'm probably 20-80. So when trainers come to Joint Dynamics, we run a mentorship program. So people that want to come and learn the Joint Dynamics way can come in to level 1 and level 2. And sometimes, one example anyway, that led to employment for a great bloke. But essentially, in the shortest possible way I can communicate it, trainers come to me. Well, not me. I've got a great gym manager, 2 gym managers. And we say to them, hey, train people whoever you want. But if we're going to allow you to train people whoever you want under the Joint Dynamics name, then you better be really good at what you're doing. in order for us to trust you. But we embed in that system, we have education every Tuesday. So we stop and we meet and we educate each other, or we get outside speakers to come and educate. We organise swaps with physical therapists, so they'll learn from physios. The physios will learn from the trainers. Same with osteopathy. Even the same, we get our psychologists to come and talk to us about everything from mindfulness to positive psychology to better coaching strategies. So along the way, they learn the joint dynamics way. And the people that come here actually, I'd say, Stretch, come here with a desire to learn because you have access to a brain's trust, essentially, mate. My USP is a collection of brains where the culture of the organisation, Joint Dynamics, is that I want to contribute, but I want to learn. And if I'm not confident to contribute, I know that people like Luke, Marcel, Andrew, Colin, David, will support me and even will give me the skills that I can feel confident to contribute, because also one of the things that I also love doing, Stretch, is events. We call it the Inside Scoop. And we get speakers and we come in, we pick on great topics and staff can present, which gives them more meaning. A lot of people want to present, and learn their craft and share and contribute. And then we get outside speakers. It's a great way to collaborate and build our brand, get new clients. So in a very short, long way, mate, that's sort of what I'm doing here in a nutshell in Hong Kong for my business.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It sounds like an incredible environment that you've set up there, and not just for the clients coming in, like having access to such wealth of knowledge, but also even for your team to be able to connect with each other, to maybe even feel like they're on a bit of an equal playing field, to be investing in them, in their education, and giving them the opportunity to keep growing. I think, being an ex-gym owner myself, I think one of the hardest things was managing staff, but also being able to keep them motivated and keep them interested, in their work, and so they don't leave you. So yeah, it really sounds like you've done well there, and the opportunity for them to present and share their knowledge as well. Like what a good feeling that must be for the staff to be part of that team.
Yeah, it is. And you said it as well. We're very fortunate that the culture and the organisation that we've built over the years, Stretch, hang on for a minute. What is it? The vicissitudes of success. If this is success, for me, it's so subjective, but for me, there's a couple of axes of success. The fact that we made it through the last 3 years of COVID and we're still here when our staff's all full time, we kept everyone on. The fact that now we've reopened, but we were closed 5 times, so we made it through. That's success. Prior to that, we were doing very well on all metrics, and now we're starting to come back. But let's say the vicissitudes of success, trending up, going that way, but there's ups and downs and circles back, and but there is an element of success, absolutely. And I think what another element of success that you touched on is our staff stay for a long period of time. Like overall, we've been really fortunate to be able to keep key members of staff, and you also touched on it. When you have, I believe people want to contribute beyond themselves, and they wouldn't get into what we do if they didn't. But when you open that up to an audience and someone gets the opportunity to learn to be a better communicator, to have a chance to dive into a topic and share their passion, I think that gives people even a little bit more purpose and meaning. And I've seen it, to be honest. And that is also another benefit of events, that the staff feels that they're contributing more, they find more purpose and meaning. It's a great way to align with other brands. This is my baby, there's 4 of us, they're our babies. And you want to put your baby, your company, your brand name with other companies that will either elevate or be on the same plane. Basically you go in and say, if I was to collaborate with you, Stretch, hey, I like what you're doing, you've got a great brand. You like what I'm doing, I've got a great brand. Let's just be black and white in our expectations of each other before we do anything, because I've been let down before. Let's be black and white in our expectations. I will share your brand with my database. Will you do the same for me? Yes, you will. Let's move forward. I'm going to hold you accountable. You hold me accountable. Is there anything you want to tell me before we start this? Because once we go, I'm going to do it. You better do it. If you don't do it, I'll be upset. Vice versa, that when you collaborate.
Yeah.
But when you do that in a black and white way, you set expectations up in front, magic happens, mate. I think magic happens.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely, mate. What an incredible culture that you've got there. And like you say, there's obviously been a lot of twists and turns and a lot of hurdles to step over to build that culture. And I'm sure it's always changing. I mean, COVID would have been a prime example. For
Yeah.
you in the role that you're in, what's the hardest part about managing a business like that?
Oh, that's a great question. You wear so many hats. Like, my day to day, some of the things that I've done. Saw some clients in the gym and online. So I do a bit of online as well. One bloke was in Istanbul in Turkey, and the other guy was in Florence in Italy. Then I saw clients on the floor as well, out there in the gym. I'm organising. There's a big event here. We're really gracious to be able to contribute to a place. It's called Mother's Choice. They help kids get parents, find adoption. It's a beautiful place anyway. So I'm helping them. We're going to donate services. So just finalising all that sort of stuff. And then one of my staff today come off his motorbike and broke his collarbones, and now workers. No joke. Just the amount of things. And then also, I interviewed Nick Gill on the podcast. So I'm finalising Gilly's podcast thing, and I'm posting other things. Like I reckon I've got 5 to 10 hats on a day, which is great because I love variety in what I do. Don't get me wrong, I would really like to see just clients, but I really love that I get a chance to do other stuff and create opportunities that I think, I've got an idea for this event, and I'll just say at the moment, we created this longevity package. Don't know what to call it, but we sort of played around with the complete elite package or the longevity package. Basically, Stretch, I went to this company, Circle X. They do all your blood work. So I said, let's do stuff together. No one's in Hong Kong doing it to this extent. Let's ramp it up and have a go at it. So I created this product where 12-week program, Stretch. You come in, you get your blood work. We look after your training, nutrition, and then you do your blood work again. So you get before and after. There's no photo, but it could be. But the before and after is your blood work. Along the way, you get 3 training sessions a week, some nutrition advice, and all of that. So the staff member that was running that's going to move on. Wasn't a great fit, but I learned a lot from this guy. He was ambitious and valued his time, but he just didn't walk his talk as much. Didn't work as hard as his mouth did, in the best possible way. Sorry, not having a go at him. Great bloke. Learned a lot from him. But just the alignment wasn't quite there. Anyway, so now that proof of concept worked. We got 4 clients straight away. So now we've obviously got to take off where he left off. Yeah. But now I've gone, this works. So the proof of concept works. What can I do? Okay, I could either go in-house or collaborate. So in the next one, I'm going to go collaborative with another organisation who have a database. And I've been very upfront. I'm saying that black and white thing. When you collaborate with other companies, Stretch, it's been my experience, in order not to be upset with the outcome, because unless you very clearly communicate it, other people, it's been my experience, will let you down according to the metrics that you set for yourself. So everyone's got different metrics, and when you're a business owner, you go, if we're going to do this is collaboration, we're going to be collaborative, I'll pump it, you pump it. And sometimes the other people, according to my metrics, have let me down. So I've just learned along the way to be bloody black and white, bordering on rude, but in a loving way, just so we know that we're going to stay mates.
Yeah.
I want to keep working with you. I'll do this. Are you going to do it? Okay. You said yes, righto. And then along the way, we'll prompt each other. So I'm going to go to another organisation and we can collaborate. And then I'm thinking, I should bring in one more little thing. How about there's 2 organisations that do the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. What if I throw that into the mix? So I'm just sort of up in my head playing games and trying to make something that's, I think, pretty good, even better.
Yeah, wicked, mate.
So that's, and even the way that I communicate's a little bit all over the place, isn't it, Stretch? But that's the way my brain works. Yeah. My skill, and I don't know if it's positive or not, I'm incredibly good at compartmentalisation. The world could be falling down, and I could be with a client and it won't affect me. Or, I've got a wife. She's of Sicilian heritage. Sometimes there's tension in my house. I don't know if that's ever happened to you as a married man, but sometimes. But I can just deal with that in the home, and then come here and just have a great time. So I'm very good at compartmentalization, and also I'm very good at, I think, my metrics as well. Take that with a grain of salt. I think that I'm quite effective at moving from one thing to the next and spending condensed periods of time. Like just say today, the other thing, I'm working on this program for schools, organised an education with Jeff. He's an exercise scientist, physiologist. He's a smart bloke. Sent him to a school. He did a great job for this school, for the teachers to get some in-house education, lower extremity injuries and healing principles and return to play strategies for their coaches, PE teachers. And I've gone, well, there's proof of concept again. So I'm going to create a document and send it out to the world. What's your inbox, Stretch? Or I'll send it out to the schools in Hong Kong. Anyway, so I'm just finalising that. But I feel that at times I'm very good at shutting the door, pushing the world away, and I'll go, okay, I have 48 minutes now, and then I need 30 minutes for food, and then I have another client. I'm just going to dive in, But I feel that most days I'm pretty good at that, and I also feel that I really like that. Yeah, I really like doing it.
It's a good skill to have, mate. The fact that you can put the blinkers on and just switch off to what's going on around you, be able to do that work. I wish I could say the same. I'm good at getting distracted, so.
Yeah, well, you know what? What's that saying? Was it Ernest Hemingway? Or I think he said, before you start to write your book, clean the fridge. Because you always find. So what I'll do, here's my strategy, acknowledging if that was Hemingway, if I screwed that up with someone else, on no disrespect. But it's a great saying, because what I'll do, like just say, I'll go, okay, I've got this thing to do. I'm going to pick up my phone. Here's my phone now. You need a little rectangle of destruction. But no, it's the rectangle of goodness and destruction. But I'll clear my WhatsApp. I'll just make sure that there's things that won't be in my head saying, Andrew, there's that thing you should do. I'll clear that, and then I'll put it aside, and then I'll dive in.
Yeah, wicked. Are you a systems man? You've mentioned a few systems. You've talked about the red line, 80-20 rule, that sort of stuff. Are you a systems man? Do you set business goals? Do you have milestones? Like, how do you sort of structure all this stuff? Because it sounds like, just in your day-to-day, there's been so much going on. How are you making sure you're staying on top of all this stuff?
I unfortunately, I'm not a systems man, but fortunately, I have people around me that are. And whether I'm creative or not, I don't know. But I like to try to be creative. I love creating events, and I love creating, that longevity package program and bringing things together. But I'm not very systematic. If you look at my pages, I just say if I was interviewing you and I've got a piece of paper here, I'm writing things, and then at the end of it, I'm like, why can't you just point 1, point 2 instead of here, and then do a circle over here? And I've never really been systematic. My superpower is maybe I've got a very good work ethic, thanks to the way that I was brought up, and I love doing what I'm doing. It's really fun most days. I feel that I have opportunity. I feel that I can contribute. So when you have that, and I feel I want to look after my family, and try to put myself in a position where I can look after my kids to the extent we're doing okay, but we've had 3 tough years, so I want to do better than what I'm doing. That's for sure, mate. But yeah, I think I'm quite driven and motivated. Always been a little bit like that, but I'm certainly not someone with systems. Wish I was, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Mate, if it's working for you, it's working for you. So some people love to have a system, but others like just to roll with the punches, don't they? So.
But here's the thing: because I don't have systems, how would I know if it's working?
That's a good point.
Maybe I could be, I could be doing this 20% better if I wasn't such a dickhead and didn't start using the system. Anyway,
mate, you do it with a smile on your face, and you do it with such great positive energy. I mean, that's got to be something in itself, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think that's been a part of. Again, there's many axes of success, Stretch, but success as far as coming to Hong Kong with nothing, knowing no one, and now being an owner, co-founded director of a company that has 70 odd staff that's traveled around certainly Asia and had those opportunities I presented on that axis of success. It seems as though I'm doing okay. I think that's what's got me through. Just being stoked, to be honest. I can generally having a positive attitude, because why wouldn't I be? Because, he's this bloke from Tamworth, again, speaking to the Chinese Olympic Committee, working with the Beijing table tennis team, going to these sports institutes in Beijing and working with coaches and athletes. And, imagine I did that. And I'm like, what? Really? That's crazy, mate.
It's a far cry from the early days in Oz, mate. Where you've done well for yourself there, and it's awesome that you're enjoying it. Good on you, mate. You talked about the work ethic there. What are the attributes do you feel that allow you to have such a strong work ethic?
Well, Jim, I'd love to dive into the psychology of why. Like, just say, I mentioned to you offline, prior to Joint Dynamics, I had my own company, Innate Fitness, belonging to something by its very nature. Wasn't a very good name, to be honest. But anyway, I was working 7 days a week for quite a while. Like, I would hustle, even on a Sunday when my kids were born, we'd put the kids to bed, say to my wife, scheduling and accounting and all the stuff that I'm not very good at. So I worked 7 days a week for many years. So just by the sheer volume of numbers that I was running workshops on Sundays. I'd fly to China and work on Saturday and Sunday, come back in, land midnight and go back to work 7 a.m. on Monday. Like, just by the sheer volume of hours that I did, sharpen the school. But I've always had that, in Australia I'd work and then I'd train and, playing rugby league. I think sport like rugby league, you don't really enjoy it if you don't commit to it and train. And I love that sport, water polo. I was quite a contact-driven sport, a lot of wrestling and stuff. You don't enjoy it if you're not in good shape. So by doing those sports and even some boxing, you just realise that if I don't look after myself and don't train hard or don't work hard, so to speak, then I'm not going to enjoy these. And then that just permeated other areas of my life. There is a balance, of course. You alluded towards family, and I just said, Sundays we'd put my kids to bed, then I'd say to my wife again, babe, I just got to do that stuff on the computer. That was my ritual Sunday for about an hour and a half. If I didn't have a workshop that day, then I'd spend the day with my family, of course. But, always I'd be on Sunday for at least an hour and a half on the computer. So when I finally merged my company with Joint Dynamics in that first year of Joint Dynamics being open, and there was days when I stopped working Sunday, like that was unreal. And then just recently, Stretch, I'm a 51-year-old man. I probably stopped working 6 days a week 18 months ago, And I got to say, I love having a weekend. I can't tell you how good it is. And I sit back and go, how the hell did I do that for so long? Because now that I've got a weekend, I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. What the hell, 2 days off? But in order to build a business, let's be honest and frank, the likelihood of success increases every hour you're on the job. So maybe the success that I've experienced in all those areas, again, it's a subjective success. For me, I'm doing all right in certain areas. In other areas, people, I'm not. But let's be honest, in a few things, if the metric is the size of my company and the opportunities that I've had as a metric of success, that's pretty good. The reason why I've done that is when I got opportunities, mate, I jumped on them and maybe outworked the next bloke or the next person. I outworked that next person. So that created opportunities, Yeah.
You mentioned there that there's obviously sacrifice. You've got to make a choice. And, if you've got to work Sunday, so you've got an event, it is time that you're sacrificing with your family. And obviously when you're building that business, there's a lot of sacrifice going on, a lot of commitment to that time. I'm curious, how was your health and well-being during these crazy times?
We've all got our non-negotiable minimums, mate. My non-negotiable minimums are, so you said time management, which is, obviously we have to manage our time, but I gravitate, I align more along the lines of that idea of energy management. If energy from physics is capacity or potential to do work, the more energy I can bring to my physical body, the more work I can get done. And then wouldn't this be a great model, the time is always going to go past, and I can get a certain amount of work done in a certain amount of time. If I have more energy stretch because of the lifestyle that I lead, when I'm the food that I eat, the way that I train my own body, I do value recovery. I do value breathing exercises. I value getting in nature. So those two models, you can either, if the more energy you bring to your day, the more work you can get in a certain period of time, or you can get the same amount of work done in the same amount of time, and you'll have some energy left over to meaningfully connect with family, wife, kids, hobbies, sports, whatever it is. So I've aligned myself with energy management a long time ago, and I very rarely compromise on the foods that I eat. I very rarely compromise on the training that I do for myself. There's always Andrew time. Thursday morning now, I don't start work till 9:30. I go get in the water with a bunch of mates. We paddle out to this. Seems like a remote island. It's round island. It's about, I think in all we do about 3.5 k's off the coast from Deepwater Bay, this Victoria Recreation Club. Paddle out there with my mates. We pick up rocks. We exercise. We do breathing exercises. Sometimes we do Wim Hof. Yep. It fills my cup in hanging out with mates. It fills my cup. I look after myself. I get connection to nature. I come back on Thursday, stretch, and I'm a better human being. So to answer your question, how did I manage it all? I never compromised on myself. That may sound selfish in that statement, but I don't compromise on myself because I know that if my energy's down, then, I'll let down, A, the clients that I'm here to see that day, B, the staff that may be dependent on me for the role that I play in the company. Obviously it's spread, but I do play a role. So again, I'd be a dickhead not to look after myself, wouldn't I? That would be the ultimate act of being selfish. If I didn't look after myself, then I can't be the best I can be for my clients, my family, the team that we have here. So I'm pretty good at having my non-negotiable minimums for looking after myself. Always been like that. That doesn't mean that I don't every now and then get on the singing syrup and get on the tiles and go on like a pork chop, but I just don't do that often,
Yeah. I like the sound of that, mate. I like the way you talked about like investing in yourself, and I think sometimes we can seem like it is selfish. Like if I'm making time to train and do all these things that take care of myself, like that's for time I'm not spending with the family. That's time I'm not working on the business. But like you say, it just makes you show up as a better person, and that time invested is just going to come back tenfold in the long run if you can make that time. Is there daily practices that you do, or how is that structure? What's your wellness and health sort of structure like? You've got Thursday's activity, but I'm just curious, like what else sort of fits into that?
Yeah. Hey, now I'm systematic. Sorry, I should have said like I'm a habitual son of a bitch, and I've developed rituals over years that just work for me. Not to bore anyone, but here we go, people. I wake up at 5:45 a.m. in the morning. Get up. At the moment, I'm taking some iodine. I had some blood work done, and I was a little bit iodine deficient. So luckily, I caught it early, which was awesome. So I get up in the morning. I go to my cupboard. I grab my iodine supplementation. I'm trying some C60. Collaborated with this company that does C60, so I'm trying some C60, carbon 60 with olive oil. It's a great product from Wizard Sciences. So I'll grab those. Go into the kitchen. Grab the fish oil. I have a glass of water with some iodine. Then I'll put some greens in that, some chlorophyll just for electrolytes, and then I'll have my other iodine supplementation, my fish oils, and then I'll have my C60. I'll go and I'll have a grapefruit. I have a grapefruit every morning that I go to work, and then I finish the grapefruit. I go have a shower, and I have those, the chewing things, like the muscle for your thing, because sometimes I think we don't eat enough hard food, and that book by James Nestor, Breathe. So I bought these things that are just there in the shower, put them in my mouth while I'm having a shower. I'm doing the chewing. I'm chewing to work out my muscles. And my wife says, don't lose your jawline. I don't know if I've got a good one, but I'm going to keep my wife and myself happy if my wife's happy. I do those at least to 100 reps while I'm washing myself. Get out, then I'll go and I'll have eggs with sweet potato. On my sweet potato, sometimes we make our own liver pate. My wife makes a myriad of things. Garlic, toom, hummus. I'll put that on my sweet potato. So I have my 2, sometimes 3 eggs. I'll have my sweet potato. I'll eat that. Then go clean my teeth, and then I come to work. When I get to work, I have my coffee. Actually, I post it all on YouTube. You can see the coffee I make. My coffee, I'm a big fan of functional mushrooms. So I'll come and I've got a big mug. Oh, it's not here. It's bloody massive. I'll have my coffee. I'll press it on the coffee machine. I'll get coffee in there. I'll add collagen protein. I'll add lion's mane and cordyceps. Sometimes, if I'm feeling a bit funky, I'll put the third one, sugar and ginseng, which seems a bit excessive, but sometimes the voices in my head say, just do it. And so I'll have butter in that. So then I'll have my coffee, which I drink. So I'll do 3 clients back to back, 7, 8, 9. I'll be drinking that. I'll top it up with hot water. I'll drink that. So that actually makes me feel great. And I mentioned to you, our mate Marcus Hewitson, he's a smart guy. And I feel when I take lion's mane functional mushrooms, I exceed my own intellectual capabilities. So coupled with coffee. Anyway, so I'll do that. I'll have those. And then after those 3 clients, if I don't train myself, Mondays, I hang out with Ben, that really cool guy. That's my mate as well, that I said is the movement coach. We'll do sessions together because let's talk about workarounds later. At the moment, I'm dealing with some bloody tennis elbow, actually tennis end. I've got on both sides. I was going through this chin-up phase where I was doing over 100 and something chin-ups a day, and I just wouldn't listen to my body in that case because I was having so much fun. So anyway, I'll just do a workaround. So at the moment, we're doing bench and some other stuff. And then after that, I have my next meal, which every day is a selection of vegetables, raw vegetables, carrots, cucumber, beetroot, celery, capsicum. I love raw capsicum, I tell you. With some olive oil and apple cider vinegar and some almonds or cashews. Today I had both. Go crazy. I pour that over them. I eat those. Sometimes a bit of cheese. Then I'll go back to work, whether it be on the computer, whether it be creating events, whether it be trying to hustle to build business, whether it be seeing more clients, whether it be hanging out with staff, meeting with my gym manager or whatever. And then I'll have another meal, which is leftovers from the night before. We eat well at home. My wife is Italian, as I mentioned, and in her culture and all cultures, but particularly in Italian culture, food is love. That's how you express love, acts of service. My wife is all about acts of service to express love to me and our family. So we eat well, and for a few years ago, I ran the Western Price Foundation here in Hong Kong with a mate who's a clinical nutritionist and another mate who was a dentist. And that really influenced myself and my wife, who was all about food, but then just understanding the Western Price principles took our food to the next level. We started bone broths and eating organ meat and, fermenting food. So have an amazing dinner. And then, as the father as well, I'm sure you'll find out, you're also not the garbage can, but you get the leftovers. Sometimes I'll have 3 nights of meals, or maybe two nights of meals in the equivalent of a tucker box. So I'll have that as my 3rd meal. Then I'll go do more work, and then I'll go home and have whatever. But those things I know. But that breakfast and that veggie box and that coffee, they just get better every day. I don't know how it works. I go to bed going one more sleep till I get my veggie box again. But I have the same thing every day. Like that veggie box, I reckon I've had that every day I come to work for 15 years. The grapefruit and the eggs and the sweet potato with different things every day, most days, maybe even more. That coffee, jeez, that's a few. Coffee's relatively new, but when you dive into the research, if you get enough recovery, coffee's phenomenal. It's in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, for goodness sake. So,
I'm not sure that you're the guy that needs too much coffee. You must be.
Yeah, well, that one I had this morning still going 12 hours later. Yeah. So in that regards, mate, I am. Sometimes I'm too rigid. Like I do catch myself going, "Hey, do something different," because this is maybe becoming a thing for you, Andrew. Because maybe that's a little bit of my nature as well. So every now and then, a simple example of that stretch, no joke. Like we've got Alico bumper plates, we've got Rogue bumper plates, and then once in a whim with some cheap Hampton ones, whatever, from a mate Kev, but whatever. I really struggle. Both if I've got a 20 kilo weight plate and it's a Laco, I have to put a Laco on the other side because the guys sometimes will have a Laco and Rogue and I'm nearly in a feet on the ground. So recently I've embraced putting Rogue and Alico, and the world didn't implode, but that's a bit of an insight into the type of bloke that I can be, and so I acknowledge that, and sometimes I'll change just enough to go, whew, I think I'm going to be okay, But I also acknowledge that being that way has helped me a lot. But for me, there's a line I catch myself that I'm like, whoa, step back, Andrew, step back a little bit and do something different,
I think it's like Steve Jobs, yeah? I think he wore the same outfit to work every day and his whole closet was just full of the same outfits.
You're looking at it, mate. You're looking at it.
I took away the choice. I don't have a choice. That's what I wear, so it just makes life easy. I know what I'm going to do that day.
I can align with that because it just parks that you don't have to think about it. My wife's from a fashion background. She loves laying out the clothes she's going to wear. I don't. Like, I even wear the same pair of shoes because it's mental headspace that I don't want to have to think about. I change my undies every day, and I find at the moment I'm wearing diesel undies today, and I feel like, whoa, that's pretty cool. I'm playing the wild side because I've got a different fancy pair of undies. But the rest of the stuff, I don't need to think about it, and for me, it's not that important. I can park it. I would do the same thing in that regards most days, which frees up mental space to do other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It frees up that energy that you're talking about, mate. You're putting all that energy in, and where are you going to spend that energy? And if you happen to make these decisions that really don't impact the big things in your life, well, it's such a waste of energy.
Yeah, not big for me anyway.
Let's move a little bit to training because obviously, you've spent a lot of years doing training. You talked about playing, lots of different sports, and obviously you're still training now. How has your training evolved as you've evolved in terms of, just your age, getting older and still working in the industry? Like, what are you doing differently now to what you were doing in the past? And how do you see that continuing to evolve, in the future?
Yeah. I won't go into my habitual training as much as I would do, but trust me, it's pretty habitual, guys. But, I make sure that I get under or play with something that's heavy for me twice a week at least. So I really enjoy deadlifting. For the first time in like 5 years, I'm bench pressing at the moment, which I haven't done in ages. But just, my elbow's pissing me off, so it's something I can do. But so just say I non-negotiable minimums for me are picking up some heavy stuff, squat, deadlift, bench, press. Like I'll make sure, it makes me feel good. But I know the science beneath the skin, that's a stimulus that is going to help me keep that positive growth, sex hormone thing. The likelihood's higher. My bone mineral density is going to be better if I stay with certain heavy things. My headspace, mate, when I lift heavy things, I experience moments of quiescence. It's for me, when you lift a weight that has a consequence, you don't think about other shit. You know what I mean? Like when if I'm deadlifting, and we're playing around with we did this testosterone protocol not so long ago. It was really fun, and you do 12 reps at 80% of your 1RM, which I thought was a bit aggressive. So I was playing around 70%. But let's say we were doing 6 sets of 12 with a strict 90-second rest, and I was doing 120 kilos for 12 reps. So for me, that was really hard. But I got to tell you, mate, like, when you work with clients, Stretch, and sometimes you'll see them, you'll have an exercise or something, and you'll just see their eyes go. And in their head, they're doing a mental shopping list. They're saying, on the way home, I've got to get some broccoli, and I've got to call that guy or that person. And you're like, whoa, this is my fault. Whatever, there's not enough complexity or there's not enough consequence in the load. So they just switched off for a little bit. I'm going to try to bring them back in a way. When you lift heavy, when I lift heavy, I don't think about anything except lifting, and God shows up, to be honest, mate. So Thursday morning, like just say, when I paddle out to Round Island, which is another non-negotiable, Thursday and Saturday morning with my mates on the old prone paddleboard. David Hasselhoff running in on his clubby board, on the belly, on your knees.
Got the red shorts, mate?
Nah, I don't have the red shorts, mate. Still wearing boardies though. The old quick dry boardies and a rashy. But when I get out there, mate, and we lift heavy rocks. Sometimes we'll do the Laird Hamilton, have a rock jump, go underwater, or we do underwater running, or we do a manner of things, and then we will exhaust ourselves, and then dig a bit of a hole in the sand for where my feet can go, and just sit and breathe. And sometimes we do 138 force 138 force flex on the left, 138 force flex on the right, then some breathing and breath holds. And mate, I open my eyes, and I'm not necessarily a spiritual religious person. I don't mean it in any, but our God shows up, dead set, mate. And I just feel so good in that moment. I look around and I didn't know there was birds there, I'm very appreciative of the world that I'm in and the opportunities that I have. And I come back to the Victoria Recreation Club, paddle back, and then get into the world. Those things, I don't think I'd be a very good bloke without doing those things. They're my non-negotiable minimums. And then as far as mobility work, which if you're listening to this, your community, mate, there's a few things that you can't get away with as you age. Like I'm 51. I mobilise my joints and my soft tissues every day. And sometimes, thankfully, the job that we have, mate, I do that with clients. Like and especially online stuff, online coaching, and it's so many variabilities to online coaching. It's a whole new animal. You get very good at communication, but sometimes you move in a mirror fashion. I do anyway, with a mirror fashion with people when it comes to movement. And so I'll have sequences for hips and spine that I do every day. And I know when I don't do them every day, those little niggles or those restrictions of movement come up. I have them. Don't get me wrong, mate. I don't think many people get to 51 who have played contact sports or, have had a physical sort of childhood and whatever it is that comes after. Anyway, you don't get, I've got neck, shoulder, thumb, right ankle. These are things that are there every day, but I just frame them. I'm stoked for them because if I didn't have them, I might get slack.
Yeah.
I might back off and not look after myself. So thank God I sprained my ankle 50, not 50, I'm exaggerating. I've told you once, I've told you a billion times, stop exaggerating. I've sprained my right ankle many times. It's different to my left. But if I don't do the work on it, it says, hey, here I am, and this will affect the quality of your life. So get back and do the work. And it's not that much. Do 20 minutes a day, stretching, movement, not like Novak Djokovic, 2 hours, son of a bitch. Working out for him though. But I never neglect mobility work.
Yeah.
And most often I'll do that with clients. So that's fortunate. And I'll do that out on that island as well.
Beautiful, mate. Yeah, it's a good practice, isn't it? I mean, for me, I did a lot of endurance sports for many years. So my mobility was definitely suffering after 4 or 5 years of competing in triathlons and marathons and that sort of stuff. And then I got into the world of CrossFit, and the euphoria from lifting heavy and doing high intensity workouts was great in, my early 30s, but, it did take its toll. And then I sort of shifted into gymnastics, and I really love gymnastics training. Love handstands, love the gymnastics rings, love all that sort of stuff, and just find it such a meditative practice. Like when you're in a handstand or when you're doing this sort of stuff, you are focused, you are present, you are there. And it does take you away from all of the other stress or all of the other noise that's sort of going on in the world. So I can definitely relate with sort of what you're saying there.
What a gift to our day, or anyone's day. In this world of constant distraction, Stretch, my phone just buzzed then and I went, oh, you know what I mean? But we live like that, don't we?
Yeah.
We live like that. Me and you were just talking, there's that buzz. Oh, sorry, Stretch, I just got to get this. What? We were just in the middle of a conversation, mate. And because that little rectangle in your pocket vibrated, you're going to cut the conversation and talk to that person that probably doesn't mean anything to you? So if you can embed, clients come here for a sacred hour, finance and, businessmen and women and law, and there's this sacred space out in that gym where the world doesn't get to them for an hour. And, sometimes they'll say, just tell me what to do. I don't want to use my brain, and fair enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes they say, no, I want you to educate me so I can be better when I'm out there as well. Either way, but we need to create this sacred space for ourselves. And, we're in an industry where we can create a sacred space for others. It's brilliant. I'd be a dickhead without it. Honestly, you wouldn't be talking. you'd be like, all right,
I
here
got
we
it
are.
with you. Like if
Still
if I miss
talking to
out,
this bloke, you know?
out of it. Yeah.
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 And then I hear your audience saying, well, I got a family, Andrew. You find a way to connect with your family. Like just say, my son, he was in here working out yesterday. Like he's 14 and he's ambitious and fit and he's got testosterone. I want to rub it on. He's coming out of his skin. But we trained together. Like how cool is that? We met my wife, my daughter, and my son and I on Sunday. We did a hike and came down. We got dogs as well. You find a way to be active, and if that also is an opportunity to compound your success, do it with your family. Do it with your mates. Oh, I want to catch up with my mates. Why don't you say, let's go paddling, running, whatever? You add great behaviors and you stack them. So I need to exercise, done. I need connection to other humans. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. Oh, okay, so I need to meditate, call my mum, have good friends, exercise, eat good food. But actually, those things feed each other because I can exercise with my mates, and once I'm finished exercising with my mates, we can even get food, or my family, we can even get food together. So those two usually come together. I feel so good, I'm not going to eat shit food. So they usually come together so you can get compound benefits. And actually, it's not that overwhelming, people. You just need to have a little bit of organization. Often, I think the hardest thing for most people, my experience of doing this for a long period of time, is the planning phase. Once you've planned, all you do is execute. You put the plan to the side, which again, go back to the clothes that I wear every day, the food that I eat. I did the planning. Yep. Now I just execute. I don't have to think about it anymore. So it frees my mind up to do all the other cool stuff. And I use that story to tell people you might have to spend a little bit of time planning how you're going to, stay with exercise. So just plan it. But once you plan it, that's the hardest part. Now all you do is execute. And magic happens. The magic source is consistency, mate. The magic source. People say, I want to get ripped. Okay, yeah, man, if you're going to commit to the next 3 to 6 months, you will. If you're not, you won't. No. There's no magic bullet, even though we all want one, don't we? And Instagram tells us there is and all this crap, but you just got to be consistent.
Yeah, I like it, mate. It's like it's coming back to habits, it's coming back to behaviors, and they are hard things to implement, but having a plan is going to help you eventually get those habits working. I like the idea of habit stacking and trying to combine those sort of things. My partner and I this week, we got together and we did a flexibility session together, and we brought Bubs into the gym so we could do it as well, because trying to find that time in our day where we can both do some training and take care of Bubs and work in a business and all these other things can be difficult. But, when you do have that opportunity to combine those sort of things and help each other out, it just makes a world of difference, doesn't it? You tick off 2 boxes at once, and it just saves you time and it gives back, especially when it comes to family. Because I think, a lot of men in midlife who have got a young family and they're committed to their careers and work, and then they come home and it's like, I've got to spend time with the family. I don't have time to train. It just becomes so hard to try and balance that. And I think the first thing that often goes is their health and well-being. But like you said before, it's not selfish to be stepping back and investing in that, because it's going to help you show up as a better father. It's going to help you show up as a better person in your chosen career, all those sort of things. So you can make that excuse, but I think in the long run, like you say, that energy equation, if you're putting more energy in and, taking the energy out, it's just going to add up over time. So,
and also, cut yourself some slack. You just got to do it the majority of the time. There's going to be times when you miss it because, what did John Lennon say? Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. You just go, okay, cool. Didn't work out today. But as long as it happens the majority of the time, then magic will happen.
Yeah, I love it, mate. I love it.
And then on that, do you mind if we talk about the workaround, mate? Because that's the biggest thing that I get with blokes my age.
Yeah, mate, I'd love to hear it.
It's niggling. My neck, my shoulder, for me at the moment, my elbow, my thumb, the neck, and the ankle. But you just find something you can do with success. So for me at the moment, and it's fun, I haven't bench pressed like what. That doesn't mean anything to me, bench press. It's not for a while there. But I haven't done it. And Ben, that bloke I told you, my mate, and he said, why don't we do bench press? Because we went through this chin-up phase. It probably lent into what I got. But anyway, so now we're doing bench. But I see it as a workaround. And one of my best mates, the guy that I paddle with most Thursdays and Saturdays, he's a year older than me. He's an athlete, And he's always got something going on as well, but we don't stop. We just find you pivot, if that's the word du jour sort of thing. You find something you can do and you keep going. You don't stop. If you can't run, bike. If you can't do a squat or kettlebells or some type of hip hinged leg movement, then bench press, chin up, row, do something in that traditional idea of exercise, whatever. But honestly, the point that I would really like to impress upon your audience, your community, is if you're a midlife maverick like we are, mate, well, particularly me, in the twilight years of my youth, can we, in the twilight years of your youth mavericks, that sounds better than me. Midlife, mate, I'm a midlife maverick. I'm midlife anyway. Don't stop. Seriously. And it doesn't have to be an hour, and it can be 20 minutes. But that shoulder discomfort that you're feeling today, that you felt yesterday, that you felt last week, that's stopping you from working out, you're wrong. Do lunges, do jogging, do something, but don't stop, because stopping and restarting is much harder than finding a workaround.
Yes.
And once we understand that, us people, I don't know, he's midlife 40 to 60, I don't know, in that age bracket.
Mate, yeah, that's it. We're going to 120, aren't
we? 120, me and you, mate. See you there. But honestly, you don't stop, because stopping leads to atrophy and all the stuff that comes with being sedentary. But it's also harder to restart than it is to find a workaround. And the workaround is cool as hell. You get training variation. How about that?
Yeah.
Naturally inbuilt periodization stretch.
Sound advice, mate, and I agree with exactly what you're saying there. I think it's much harder to get going. So if you've had that motivation and you've been doing stuff, then you've just got to keep going. And if you haven't, and you've been making those excuses or injury or that's holding you back, like, I think that's just an excuse. And there's always, like you say, there's always a workaround, and there's always something you can be doing. And I don't think there'll be any regrets when you do get the habit ingrained, even if it is just like 20, 30 minutes, it's every bit counts. I agree with you.
Yeah. And I think a bit of self-love as well. You know what I mean? Like, you're worth it, so look after yourself. And you're going to screw some things up. You are going to miss training, or you're going to be lazy some days, but just don't do it most days. That's all. You're pretty awesome. I'm all right too. I've got a pretty good relationship with myself, because I acknowledge that if I do cut myself some slack and I do respect myself, I'm a better bloke for everyone that I surround myself with.
Yeah, that's.
I'm still a dickhead, fair income. Like I'm still, I've got my shit going on, but I do cut myself some slack, and I do give myself enough respect, self-love even, to acknowledge that, I'm worth it. I should look after myself. And, mate, I don't know about you, but my dad, heroes of my life, he's in terrible health now, and I've said goodbye to my dad, even though he survived. Tough son of a bitch he is. Said goodbye to my dad 3 times, and being at the bedside of someone on the precipice of their life ending is a terrible, heartbreaking, worthy experience that you take away. I spoke to one of my good mates who used to live here, country boy, grew up in Harden. Spoke to him this morning as I was walking down here. There's another compounding. I've listened to a podcast or connecting with my mates or family while I walk to work. Anyway, his old man's pretty crook, and he spent 5 days with his dad. His dad, unfortunately, had his leg cut off. But we just led to a conversation of, mate, he's same age as me, 51. And he said his old man was in the vascular ward in this hospital, and he said, there was blokes our age and younger than us that were, smoking, for example. If you smoke, cut yourself some slack, you're worth it. Maybe explore giving up. We've all got our shit. We've all got our inadequacies, and let's put smoking in that category. And I've got mine. I'm certainly not a perfect person. I'm far from it. If you're listening to this, you work that out. But when you visit that place, and you see the effects of smoking, for example, it's it's stark and it's a hard thing to change. We are habitual. Like, change is very, very difficult and even confronting. And um, but I really think it's worthwhile projecting yourself forward to those last couple of years of your life. And I unfortunately, my dad needs someone to bath him and help him go to the bathroom, and he can't walk anymore. He was a strong man. He's got an Order of Australia medal from the Queen, my dad. But now he's nothing. He's a shadow of that, unfortunately. And to see that, here's how weird I am. I actually, out of love for my dad, on that one of those nights when I took a photo of my dad, and I was just like, this is who he is. I'm going to. And sometimes I look at that photo of my old man, and it takes me to a place of sorrow, but also it takes me to a place of, well, I'm really going to look after myself, so I understand I'm going to die. Death rate in humans is 100%, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah. So far,
today.
When you figure that out, mate, on one of your crazy events and organisation things,
we cracked it. You heard it first. Anyway, today.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that, and I'm going to look after myself because I'm worth it so I can have as much fun and keep doing stuff that I love and meaningfully connect with my family, my wife, my friends for as long as I can. This is how big of a dickhead I am, Stretch. My 50th birthday, during COVID, I made a great bunch of mates, a band of brothers. That guy Bryce that I was just talking to this morning, that he had his dad's leg cut off, and Rob and Dave and George and Tim, all these great blokes. We just banded together over COVID, and we got out in the water and just had a great time. I said to them, guys, we're doing this on my 70th birthday. We are paddling, for example, Round Island. We are paddling to Round Island. We're doing a workout. I created an invite, and I sent them all an email, and they had to accept the invite. That on 1 week prior to my 70th birthday, May 7, in 19 years' time, everybody's going to get an invite to hang out with Coco and ride a midline. That's how big of a dickhead I am. But it's a commitment we make to each other, as weird as it is. But it's a subtle acknowledgement that I sometimes bring up when we're messing around. That says, just let's look after ourselves so we can hang out and have a great time for another 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I like it. And who says you're not a planner? Look at you go. Way into the future.
Systematic. Oh, my God. What the hell's going on?
I do appreciate you sharing that story about your dad, because I think that's a powerful story, and that can probably resonate with a lot of guys right now, because we are seeing our parents grow older, and we are seeing, obesity and heart disease and diabetes and all these things on the rise. And sometimes when it's not in our face, we do go through life just thinking we are a little bit invincible. I can just keep going. I can keep eating shit food. I don't have to train. I can, keep partying, keep drinking, keep doing all these things. And it's not until sometimes that it's too late. When we wake up and we're too far gone, that we realize maybe what we should have taken care of. And to have that vision of, our parents growing older, or to have that idea of like, hey, if I don't act now and if I don't take care of myself, especially in my midlife, well, what are my later years going to look like? And is that the person I want to be in those later years? So yeah, thanks for sharing that story. I think that's something that a lot of guys could really reflect on, and might help them, make some change, really sort of step up and see what's at stake.
Yeah, the reality is that the lifestyle you lead is the greatest indication of what's going to happen as you age. So do you want your last 5 years of life in a home where someone helps you off the toilet and bathes you? Or do you want to live at home? The most sexiest ad for a gym should not be this ripped dude lifting up his shirt with rippling stomach and the equivalent of a girl beside him in a bikini doing the same thing. The sexiest ad is an 80-year-old person living at home independently. Yeah. That's what I want. And that's what we quote unquote peddle here at Joint Dynamics. That's I was almost going to say the F word and I won't, but that's the sexiest ad that I can think of for us. When you're 20, maybe you're invincible, but it's coming. And so when you're in your 30s, 40s,
we're over the hill now. So
no, we're not, mate. We're not over the hill. We're Mavericks. Remember on your show. Like that.
We're at the top of the hill right now.
Yeah, that guy Top Gun, he was a maverick. I thought that was a great name.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, we all grew up with Top Gun, didn't we? And that's
Yep.
like, mate, I used to want to be a pilot growing up as a kid. That was my dream. I was like, I'm going to be a pilot, and I think it came from Top Gun. So when that name came to me, I was like, this is happening. This is exactly what I want. Oh, dude, Andrew, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I've got a lot out of just chatting with you today, and I'm sure our listeners will too. So greatly appreciate your time, mate. I know you're a busy man, but you've shared some great insights. So thank you. So Andrew, if people want to find you and connect with you, where's the best place they can do that?
I think the best place is to just go to Google and type in Joint Dynamics. That's the name of the business. Joint, as in your joints, and Dynamics. Go to the podcast, which, surprise, surprise, Stretch, is called the Joint Dynamics Podcast, Joint Dynamics Intelligent Movement Series. Instagram, Joint Dynamics. Facebook, Joint Dynamics. Yeah, you can type in Andrew Coxall there, but I'm not a very active person on social media. I just share the podcast and stuff from work. I don't put photos of my family or the food that I eat on it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just not what I do. So just type in Joint Dynamics or Andrew Cox, or come to Hong Kong and get in the middle there, yell out, Coco!
Come for a
and
paddle.
I'll find, let's get on the water together, lift some weights, have some fun.
We know where to find you on a Thursday morning, mate.
Thursday, Saturday morning. See you there.
See you there. Thanks for tuning in to the Midlife Mavericks podcast. Remember, your journey to optimal health and vitality doesn't end here. You're just getting started. Keep embracing the mindset of a maverick. Stay committed to your visions, values, and goals. Continue taking meaningful steps towards a life filled with energy, purpose, and fulfillment. Until next time, keep thriving and living life on your own terms.